Hi, my name is Skylar Stasney. I'm the Curator of Copshaholm here at the History Museum, and welcome to Curiosities of Copshaholm. Today we're going to be talking about the dressing room. So what exactly is a dressing room? It kind of is what the name implies. It's kind of where people would get ready, and it's meant to be a private space for that purpose. And men and women use these spaces very differently. So for women, this would be a space that was used daily for them. And it was a space for them to kind of hide their undesirable attributes. So even if they weren't going somewhere or doing anything that day or expecting any company, they would still have to get ready for the day. Otherwise, they were seen as slovenly people. And in etiquette, I'm going to read like a little chapter from, or like a little excerpt from etiquette. Women were required to kind of dress for their husband. So have the comfort and happiness of your husband always in view, and let him see and feel that you still look up to him with trust and affection, that the love of other days has not grown cold. Dress for his eyes more scrupulously than for all the rest of the world. Make yourself and your home beautiful for his sake. Try to beguile him from his cares. Retain his affections in the same way that you won them. Be polite even to your husband. So that's from 1916. So oftentimes women were expected to use the dressing room as part of their daily ritual. So your dressing room had to have some very specific items in them according to etiquette practices at that time. So you had to have a low dressing bureau, a washstand, a few chairs in the room if the space allowed. If you didn't have closets like we do in this dressing room, you would have a wardrobe to keep all of your clothing in. And part of having the dressing room and that low dressing bureau was to be able to get ready at that dressing bureau with a dresser set like we see here. So this dresser set includes a lovely hand mirror, and then you have your hairbrush and two sets of clothing brushes that would be used for different things. And then you would also have a pin cushion styled like this so that it was easy to access either sewing pins, or you would keep your hairpins tucked into this depending on what type of hairpins you used at that time. And then you would also have bottles for your perfume, but you didn't want to have anything that had too much of a fragrance. That was against etiquette, so you didn't want to have any strong perfumes in your dressing room. Other parts of your dresser set included a change tray, so you weren't carrying change all in your pockets all the time, your shoehorn, a button hook for all the pesky buttons that women's clothing had at that time, a nail file, and then a nail cleaner. And so all of these things would be part of your dresser set to help you get ready every single day and make sure that you were polished enough to be seen in public. And then just another really cool thing is that this right here was actually a clothes hamper. So you would open it here and deposit all of your dirty clothes into here at the end of the day. And another thing in this room is actually the wash basin, or the sink in this room. And you have your containers for your mouthwash and some cotton swabs to be able to clean up, as well as a glass for brushing your teeth and things like that. So this room would have been used kind of like how we use different parts of our bathroom for getting ready and part of our daily rituals. Men's dressing rooms were similar to this. They just would have a few extra things in here that this one doesn't particularly have. So your razors and your shaving brushes would all be in here, and shaving soap, and you would usually keep a small pot of water with some paper next to it so you could clean your razors. And it was often recommended that men have a razor for every single day of the week. So you would have 7 different razors. Now kind of a close example of this that we have in that mansion is that Joseph Jr. Kept 7 shaving brushes for every single day of the week, and for the razors it was so that they would get equal use. So maybe that's the same concept that Joseph Jr. was using with his shaving brushes. And it would also take those shaving brushes a little bit longer to dry out. A lot of men had a few different ones. And your dressing room was also the place where you would keep all of your pharmaceutical items too. So in this cabinet, this would have been the youngest daughter, Catherine's items, since she took over this dressing room in her adulthood. So some of the things that we have in here include some Pepto-Bismol, which we're pretty used to seeing, and some mosquito chaser, so you keep your insect repellent in here, and some of the things that maybe she used a little bit more often. So you've got your iGene eye drops, or your Intracell for all your muscle aches and pains, some Altoids, and then just a few other odds and ends. So like you've got some Band-Aids in here, you've got cotton swabs, so all different things that would have been used in this space, especially for getting ready, or some of the things that we use maybe when we're getting ready or in our bathroom now. So as you've kind of been able to see, this is one large dressing room. It was at one point in time 2 separate dressing rooms so that JD and Anna each had their own space for getting ready. And they would have had a lot of the items that we talked about earlier. But like I mentioned, their youngest daughter, Catherine, took over this dressing room in the 1930s and made it into one large space just for herself. So she had a lot of space for all of her clothes, all of her different things that she would have needed for getting ready every single day. And the whole purpose for keeping this room was to have that space. Thank you for joining me for Curiosities of Copshow. We'll see you next time.